Look at your life honestly. Why do some people enter a room and the room changes? Why do they speak less yet are heard more? Why are they calm under pressure, unmoved by chaos and quietly respected? Ask yourself this: is attraction really about looks, or is it about discipline, presence, and inner order? What if I told you that mental strength is what makes a person truly attractive, and that this strength is not gifted, it is trained daily through habits most people ignore? If you stay with me, you will not just learn what makes you attractive, you will learn how to become unshakable from the inside out. Attraction is not something you chase. Strength is not something you announce. Both are byproducts of alignment. When your thoughts, body, actions, and values move as one. The Shaolin way has never been about impressing others. It is about mastering yourself, because the world naturally responds to inner order. If you practice these habits with sincerity and discipline, you will develop a presence that cannot be ignored, a mind that cannot be shaken, and a strength that speaks without needing to be loud. This is wisdom, not motivation, and wisdom, once lived, changes everything. 1. Silence before reaction. Silence is not weakness. Silence is containment. Most people believe strength is shown in response, in words spoken quickly, emotions displayed openly, opinions defended immediately, but true strength reveals itself before reaction ever happens. It lives in the space between stimulus and response. That space is where power is either gained or lost. When something triggers you, an insult, a challenge, disrespect, uncertainty, the body reacts instantly. Heart rate increases, muscles tighten, thoughts race forward to defend identity. This is instinct, this is survival. But instinct is not mastery. The disciplined mind does not eliminate reaction, it witnesses it. Silence before reaction is the moment you step back internally and observe the rising impulse without obeying it. In this moment, you reclaim authorship over your behavior. You are no longer being moved by the world. The world waits for you. Attraction is born here. People are drawn to those who do not leak emotion uncontrollably. Calm presence creates gravity. When you do not rush to speak, your words gain weight. When you do not rush to defend, your confidence becomes unquestionable. Silence signals inner stability. This silence is not emptiness. It is loaded awareness. Inside this pause, you feel the breath. You sense the body. You allow emotion to rise and fall without suppression or indulgence. Anger dissolves when it is observed fully. Fear weakens when it is not resisted. Ego softens when it is not fed. Every reaction you delay strengthens the nervous system. Every moment you pause retrains the mind to tolerate intensity without collapse. This is mental strength in its earliest form. The undisciplined person reacts and regrets. The disciplined person pauses and chooses. Over time, silence becomes your default response. You stop filling space unnecessarily. You stop explaining yourself compulsively. You stop leaking power through emotional noise. Others begin to feel it. They may not understand it, but they respect it. Because silence cannot be argued with. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be rushed. This habit alone separates leaders from followers, masters from students, the centered from the chaotic. It is not passive, it is strategic stillness. But silence alone is not enough. If you pause but collapse under pressure, silence becomes avoidance. If you pause but seek comfort immediately after, silence becomes fragility. The pause must be trained, not merely practiced. And that training begins where comfort ends, because the one who can endure discomfort without reaction is the one who becomes unbreakable. 2. Daily discomfort training. Comfort is seductive. It whispers safety while quietly eroding strength. The mind that is always comfortable becomes allergic to challenge. The body that is never strained forgets how to endure. Mental strength is not built through affirmation or positive thinking. It is built through voluntary hardship. Daily discomfort training is the deliberate act of placing yourself in controlled difficulty, not to suffer, but to adapt. Cold exposure, physical exertion, fasting, silence, discipline when motivation is absent. These are not punishments, they are teachers. When the body experiences discomfort and survives it calmly, the mind learns a powerful lesson. I can endure more than I thought. This lesson rewires identity. Attraction grows here too. A person who is comfortable in discomfort carries a grounded energy. They are not rushed by urgency. They are not shaken by inconvenience. Their presence signals resilience. Others feel safe around them because they are stable under strain. Discomfort strips away illusion. It reveals what remains when excuses fall apart. When you train daily discomfort, you encounter resistance, the voice that says, "Not today, too tired, skip it." Each time you act despite this voice, authority shifts back to you. You become the commander, not the servant of impulse. This habit hardens the will gently but permanently. Over time, discomfort becomes familiar. You no longer panic when things are difficult. Pressure stops feeling like threat and starts feeling like terrain. You move through it steadily, breath by breath. The disciplined mind does not chase pleasure, it respects pain as information. This does not mean reckless suffering. It means intentional challenge with awareness. You choose difficulty instead of being crushed by it unexpectedly. And in doing so, you remove fear of hardship. That fear is what weakens most people. When discomfort is trained daily, emotional reactions soften. You do not explode under stress because stress has become familiar. You do not crumble under criticism because endurance has been cultivated. You remain centered. Strength becomes quiet. Confidence becomes embodied. And yet, even this strength can become loud if not tempered. Endurance without restraint turns into ego. Hardness without refinement becomes intimidation. True mastery requires one final discipline, because power that speaks too much loses its mystery. And what truly attracts attention is not effort, but precision. 3. Minimal speech, maximum meaning. Words are tools. Used carelessly, they become weapons against yourself. Most people talk to release tension, to seek validation, to fill silence, to assert importance. But excessive speech leaks authority. It reveals insecurity before confidence has a chance to form. Minimal speech is not about saying less to appear mysterious. It is about speaking only when alignment is present. When your words are rare, they carry weight. When your voice is calm and intentional, others listen instinctively. This is not dominance. This is coherence. Attraction deepens here. The mind that speaks minimally is a mind that thinks clearly. Silence becomes a filter. Before words emerge, they pass through intention, relevance, and necessity. This discipline prevents regret and sharpens insight. Every unnecessary word weakens presence. Every intentional word strengthens it. Minimal speech forces inner clarity. You must understand what you feel before expressing it. You must observe your thoughts before releasing them. This slows the mind, deepens awareness, and creates composure. In stillness, understanding matures. Those who speak constantly rarely listen. Those who listen deeply speak precisely. Precision is felt instantly. People trust those who do not waste language. This habit transforms relationships. Conflict softens when fewer words are used. Respect grows when explanation disappears. Authority rises when justification ends. Silence becomes the foundation. Speech becomes the blade. When you finally speak, it lands. Minimal speech, protects energy. Words cost focus. Emotional expression costs vitality. By conserving language, you conserve power. The mind remains sharp, the body remains calm. This does not mean emotional suppression. It means emotional stewardship. You choose when expression serves growth and when silence serves mastery. Over time, others begin to mirror your pace. Conversation slow, attention deepens, presence expands. This is how attraction matures into respect. This is how strength becomes undeniable. And when silence, discomfort, and restraint merge, a presence is formed that needs no announcement. Because the most powerful person in the room is not the one speaking, but the one who could and chooses not to. 4. Upright posture, upright mind. The body speaks before the mouth ever opens. Long before words are exchanged, posture has already introduced you. An upright posture is not about pride, it is about alignment. When the spine is collapsed, the mind follows. When the shoulders fold inward, the spirit retreats. The body becomes a silent confession of inner disorder. Most people do not realize they are training weakness every day. Hours bent over screens, eyes down, chest closed, breath shallow. Slowly the nervous system adapts to submission. Confidence fades not because of failure, but because the body has rehearsed defeat. An upright posture is a daily act of resistance. When the spine is aligned, the breath deepens naturally. Oxygen reaches the brain with ease. Thought slows, emotion stabilizes, presence sharpens. This is not philosophy, it is physiology aligned with awareness. Stand tall, and the mind lifts with the body. An upright posture does not announce dominance. It communicates readiness. The body says, I am here. I am stable. I am not hiding. This subtle signal is felt by others immediately. Attraction forms before conversation begins. The disciplined posture is relaxed yet alert. Shoulders open, not rigid. Chin level, not raised. The crown gently lifted, as if suspended by awareness itself. This posture creates internal space. In that space, the mind finds clarity. When the body is aligned, distractions lose their grip. You become harder to disturb. External chaos meets internal order and dissolves. This is why posture is trained in stillness before motion. When sitting, standing, or walking, alignment is maintained without force. Over time, the body remembers. Strength becomes natural. Effort fades. An upright posture also changes how you move through difficulty. You face challenges head-on instead of shrinking from them. Fear finds less room to grow. Doubt loses its hiding places. Mental strength is not separate from physical discipline. The body and mind are one instrument. Neglect one, and the other suffers. Train one, and the other follows. When posture collapses, integrity fractures. When posture is upright, intention becomes clear. This is not about appearance, it is about self-respect made visible. You do not need to think confidently when the body is already expressing it. And yet, posture alone is not enough, because alignment practiced occasionally fades quickly. Strength that appears only in moments disappears under pressure. True transformation requires repetition, and repetition demands a deeper discipline. Because the mind does not change through intensity, it changes through consistency. 5. Consistency over intensity. Intensity excites, consistency transforms. Most people mistake emotional surges for progress. They train hard one day, rest many days, and wonder why nothing changes. The mind enjoys dramatic effort because it feels productive. But the body and spirit respond to rhythm, not bursts. Consistency is quiet. Consistency is unglamorous. Consistency is powerful. A small disciplined action repeated daily reshapes identity. When you show up regardless of mood, authority returns to you. The mind learns it is no longer in control. Habit replaces hesitation. This is how strength becomes permanent. Consistency builds trust within yourself. Each day you keep a promise, even a small one, integrity deepens. Confidence grows not from success, but from reliability. You begin to know yourself as someone who follows through. Attraction grows here as well. People trust those who are steady. Emotional stability creates safety. Predictability in values creates respect. Consistency signals maturity. Intensity seeks results. Consistency builds character. The disciplined path is not dramatic, it is deliberate. Training when tired, practicing silence when tempted to speak, maintaining posture when distracted. These small acts accumulate silently. Over time, effort disappears. Discipline becomes identity. Consistency also protects against ego. Intensity feeds self-image. Consistency humbles you daily. It reminds you that mastery is built slowly, without applause. This rhythm calms the nervous system. Anxiety fades when the mind knows what comes next. The chaos of decision-making dissolves. Life simplifies. You stop negotiating with yourself. Consistent. Why trains patience? You learn to trust the process without demanding immediate reward. This patience spills into relationships, work, and conflict. You become harder to provoke, slower to judge, quicker to understand. Mental strength matures here, and yet, even consistency can become a trap. If your actions are still driven by approval, discipline becomes performance. Progress becomes fragile. Strength becomes dependent. Because the final chain to break is not laziness, but the need to be seen. 6. Detachment from validation. The need for validation is invisible slavery. When your actions depend on approval, your power lives outside you. Every opinion becomes a threat. Every reaction becomes a verdict. The mind becomes crowded with imagined judgments. Detachment from validation is not indifference. It is independence. You no longer move to impress. You move to align. When praise comes, you receive it calmly. When criticism arrives, you observe it carefully. Neither defines you. This detachment is deeply attractive. A person who does not seek approval radiates inner security. Their calm is unsettling to those who live for applause. Their presence commands respect without effort. Validation seeking creates noise. Detachment creates clarity. When you stop explaining yourself, words sharpen. When you stop defending your choices, confidence solidifies. When you stop chasing acceptance, authenticity emerges. This does not mean isolation. It means connection without dependence. Detachment frees emotional energy. You stop rehearsing conversations. You stop imagining rejection. The mind returns to the present moment where strength lives. This habit requires courage. Letting go of approval feels like standing alone. But solitude is where clarity forms. In silence, you hear your true direction. The disciplined mind listens inward first. Over time, the fear of judgment dissolves. You realize most opinions are reflections of others' inner states, not truths about you. Compassion replaces defensiveness. Calm replaces reactivity. Detachment also sharpens boundaries. You no longer overextend to be liked. You give fully without depletion. Respect replaces people-pleasing. Mental strength becomes visible here. You move slowly, you speak clearly, you act deliberately. There is no rush to prove anything. Your presence speaks before you do. And when posture is aligned, habits are consistent, and validation loses its grip, something irreversible happens. You stop trying to be attractive, and instead, you become undeniable. 7. Controlled breath under pressure. Pressure reveals what training conceals. When tension rises, the breath is the first to betray the mind. Most people breathe unconsciously, shallow, rushed, fragmented. Under stress, the breath shortens further, signaling danger to the nervous system. Thought accelerates, emotion spikes, control slips away. The disciplined individual returns to the breath. Controlled breathing under pressure is not a technique, it is a refuge. When the world tightens, the breath becomes wide. When chaos approaches, the breath slows deliberately. This reversal confuses fear. The body expects panic. Calm arrives instead. Strength forms here. The breath is the bridge between body and mind. Control it and both respond. Slow inhalation anchors awareness. Long exhalation releases tension. With each cycle, the nervous system softens its grip on urgency. This practice changes how you experience conflict. When challenged, you do not rush to defend. When confronted, you do not escalate. You breathe. In that breath, you reclaim choice. Reaction pauses. Clarity enters. Attraction deepens in this calm. People sense when someone is unshaken. A steady breath creates an invisible field of stability. Others unconsciously match your rhythm. The room quiets. Attention gathers. This is not dominance. This is regulation. Breath control is trained when calm, so it remains available when tested. In stillness, you practice slow cycles. In movement, you maintain rhythm. Over time, the breath becomes a silent companion. Fear loses its authority. Under pressure, breath becomes an anchor to the present moment. Thoughts about outcome dissolve. You respond to what is, not what you imagine. This habit builds resilience beyond emotion. The body recovers faster. The mind clears quicker. Stress no longer lingers unnecessarily. And yet, breath alone is not enough. If the mind begins the day scattered, no breath can fully steady it. If intention is not set early, the world will set it for you, because strength under pressure is decided long before pressure arrives. It is shaped at the very first hour. 8. Morning discipline before the world wakes. The morning belongs to those who claim it. Before messages arrive, before demands appear, before the world speaks to you, there is a window of silence. In this silence, direction is chosen. Most people wake reactively. Alarms ring, screens glow, thoughts scatter, and instantly the nervous system begins the day in submission. The mind follows external commands before hearing its own. Morning discipline reverses this order. When you rise before the world wakes, you meet yourself without interruption. Breath is steady, mind is quiet, intention becomes clear. This is where strength is set. The disciplined morning is not rushed. Movements are deliberate, posture is aligned, breath is deep. Each action affirms sovereignty over the day. Consistency here compounds silently. Training early removes excuses. There is no negotiation, no distraction, no audience, only commitment. This builds integrity that carries through every interaction. Attraction grows in this quiet victory. Those who master their mornings carry composure into chaos. They do not seek motivation. Momentum follows them naturally. Others feel it and respond. Morning discipline also sharpens focus. The mind is fresh. Learning deepens. Reflection clarifies purpose. Decisions made here are cleaner. This is not productivity. This is alignment. Over time, early discipline reshapes identity. You no longer see yourself as reactive. You become someone who initiates. Confidence rises without effort. When the day eventually applies pressure, you meet it prepared. Breath is already trained. Posture is already upright. Mind is already centered. The world senses this readiness. And yet, even a disciplined morning can be undone if the environment remains neglected. Order within cannot survive chaos without, because clarity requires space, and space begins with what surrounds you. 9. Clean environment, clear mind. The environment is a mirror. Clutter outside becomes noise inside. Disorder distracts attention. Neglected spaces silently drain energy. Sane people underestimate this influence. A clean environment is not about aesthetics. It is about respect for awareness. When space is ordered, the mind relaxes. Visual calm signals safety. Focus deepens naturally. Thought slows. Emotion settles. This is mental strength expressed physically. Cleaning becomes meditation. Each movement deliberate. Each item placed with intention. The mind follows the hands. Presence returns. Attraction is refined here. People feel clarity in ordered spaces. Conversations slow. Tension softens. Trust grows. A clean environment communicates self-respect without words. This habit also sharpens discipline. You begin noticing details. Neglect becomes uncomfortable. Awareness heightens. Order outside reinforces order within. Over time, decision fatigue decreases. Simplicity replaces excess. You own fewer distractions. Attention strengthens. The mind becomes harder to disturb. This clarity supports every previous habit. Breath flows easier. Mornings begin smoother. Consistency stabilizes. Detachment strengthens. Environment either supports your discipline or sabotages it silently. When you choose order daily, chaos loses power. You reclaim attention from unnecessary noise. Life becomes lighter. And when breath is controlled, mornings are disciplined, and space is clear. Strength stops being something you practice. It becomes something you live. 10. Eye contact without intimidation. The eyes are more revealing than words. Before language forms, before posture signals, the eyes speak truth. They reveal confidence, attention, intention, and emotion. Most people misuse their gaze. They either avoid it, seeking comfort in invisibility, or they stare too hard, demanding submission. Both reveal inner turbulence. Both betray insecurity. True mastery of the eyes is subtle. Eye contact without intimidation is about presence, not power. It is calm awareness meeting awareness, nothing more, nothing less. When you look, you are not seeking reaction. You are acknowledging reality without attachment, without demand. When someone meets your gaze, they sense steadiness. They sense clarity. They feel seen without being threatened. This quiet connection draws attention naturally. Attraction is born from trust before words are spoken. Controlled eye contact requires the mind to be centered. To hold a gaze calmly is to say silently, I am grounded. I am aware. I am here. This mastery is not aggressive. It is precise. It is intentional. It is alive in every blink, every pause, every fraction of a second. It is patience in motion. The disciplined gaze also learns to withdraw. Knowing when to look and when to release prevents dominance from turning into intimidation. This is the balance between presence and respect. When eye contact becomes conscious, it also trains observation. You begin noticing subtleties, micro-expressions, shifts in energy, unspoken truths. Your understanding of the world deepens without words, but without physical alignment, even the best gaze can falter. Because presence begins not only with eyes, but with the posture that carries them. 11. Physical training as moving meditation. The body is the vessel of the mind. Its discipline shapes the intellect, its endurance shapes patience, and its strength shapes character. Most people treat physical training as mere aesthetics. Muscles are built, endurance is tested, but the mind remains untrained. True physical training transforms both body and consciousness. It becomes moving meditation. Each motion, each repetition is a dialogue between effort and awareness. The weight is not just lifted, it is observed. The breath is not just drawn, it is guided with intent. The body does not move on autopilot, it flows with mindful command. This habit teaches control. You become aware of tension before it harms, of imbalance before it destabilizes. Strength becomes calm, not frantic. Speed becomes deliberate, not chaotic. Endurance becomes wisdom, not just stamina. Physical training also reveals limitation. Each failure, each fatigue, each tremble is a mirror reflecting inner weakness. The mind faces discomfort and learns to remain present. You do not collapse under strain, you observe, adjust, and persist. Attraction grows naturally from this. A body trained with discipline radiates vitality. It moves with intent, not show. It carries energy that others sense instinctively. Presence deepens. Confidence rises silently. The practice also teaches humility. Strength is not for display, but for alignment. Power is not aggression, but containment. Every movement is a lesson in patience, every pause a lesson in control. This form of moving meditation connects the earlier habits, breath control, posture, silence, with action. Strength becomes integrated, holistic. It is no longer separate from mind, from habit, from intention. And yet, even physical mastery can remain shallow if the mind clings to noise. Because the greatest strength lies not in the body itself, but in the ability to be alone with it. 12. Acceptance of solitude. Solitude is the crucible of self. It is where clarity forms, where presence deepens, where strength becomes unshakable. Most fear being alone. They seek constant distraction, approval, or validation. They fill silence with noise because silence exposes weakness. Yet, avoidance of solitude breeds fragility. Strength cannot exist in dependency. Acceptance of solitude is not loneliness. It is alignment. It is being complete with one's own presence. When you sit alone, without phone, without interruption, without external validation, the mind learns to settle. Thoughts become clearer. Emotions become tempered. Decisions become precise. Solitude is also a mirror. In stillness, you see fear, attachment, and desire as they are, not as they appear when distracted. You confront the truth of yourself. This confrontation, held without resistance, is the seed of mental strength. Attraction emerges quietly here. A person comfortable alone radiates autonomy. They carry themselves without need, without anxiety, without clinging. Others feel drawn not to their performance, but to their completeness. True solitude strengthens all previous habits. Breath becomes anchored. Posture becomes natural. Eyes are steady. Words are chosen. Physical training is intentional. The morning is claimed. Environment is ordered. It teaches patience. When alone, you learn that time itself is abundant. Urgency softens. Impulse loses control. The mind becomes capable of deep focus, prolonged attention, and wise restraint. Solitude also develops resilience. When the world rejects, criticizes, or distracts, you remain whole. Happiness is no longer borrowed. Confidence is no longer conditional. Power resides quietly within. And yet, even solitude is a discipline. It must be sought, not imposed. It must be embraced, not escaped. Otherwise, it becomes isolation, which fragments rather than strengthens. The mastery of solitude bridges all previous habits. It teaches you that strength, presence, and attraction are not granted by others. They are cultivated quietly, patiently, deliberately. Because when breath, posture, training, and presence converge, and the mind stands alone, calm, and alert, you begin to live as a force that cannot be ignored, a presence that commands attention silently, and a strength that needs no audience. And this is only the beginning. 13. Letting go of the need to explain. The need to explain is a quiet weakness disguised as courtesy. Most people speak to justify, to clarify, to protect identity. Every explanation is a small surrender. Every justification is a subtle leak of authority. They think the world will understand if they clarify. They believe words will protect them from judgment. They are wrong. True strength emerges when words are not required to defend. When you stop explaining, the mind grows light. Energy is conserved. Power is no longer dispersed in futile efforts to convince. This is not arrogance. It is sovereignty. It is recognition that your value is inherent, not contingent on comprehension or approval. You do not need to rationalize existence. You do not need to validate intention. Presence alone communicates your essence. When the impulse to explain arises, pause, breathe, observe the discomfort. The mind seeks to be understood. The ego fears misjudgment, but you do not respond to fear. You respond to alignment. In this restraint, attraction is heightened. People notice the calm, they notice the certainty. Silence communicates more than words. It signals self-possession, emotional stability, and internal order. Letting go of explanation also frees the mind. Ideas are no longer lost to defense. Thoughts no longer scatter in an attempt to appease. Decisions remain undiluted by the need for approval. The energy spent on rationalization is returned to creation. The habit transforms relationships. Conflict softens when there is no compulsion to defend. Respect emerges when boundaries are maintained silently. Authority rises when justification ends. Yet, mastery requires discipline. Releasing the urge to explain is not a single act. It is repeated daily, moment by moment, conversation by conversation. Each pause retrains the mind to remain unshaken. Because when words are minimal, presence becomes absolute. And minimal words are only the beginning. 14. Eating with awareness. The body is a temple. Every act of nourishment is a test of mindfulness. Most eat unconsciously, devoured by habit, convenience, or emotion. Meals become rituals of distraction rather than replenishment. Eating with awareness is an act of respect for the body and the mind. Each bite is intentional. Each chew is observed. Each swallow is conscious. You taste fully, digest deliberately, and acknowledge the fuel that sustains your energy and clarity. This practice trains discipline subtly. Appetite is not suppressed, but examined. Desire is not indulged, but understood. The mind observes cravings without being enslaved. The body is nourished without indulgence. Awareness in eating strengthens focus in all areas. The act becomes a metaphor for decision-making. You learn to choose what serves vitality. You learn restraint without denial. You learn patience in consumption. Attraction deepens in those who cultivate this habit. A person who controls appetite, who masters desire, radiates inner authority. Discipline is visible in subtle gestures, in calm movement, in energy undisturbed by impulse. Others sense it instinctively. This mindfulness extends beyond food. Every choice becomes deliberate. Every indulgence is tempered. The nervous system learns that the mind leads, not craving. Emotional reactions soften. Urges are observed and transformed into understanding. Eating with awareness also aligns with breath, posture, and solitude. Each meal becomes a meditation, each bite a lesson in self-possession. Over time, the body and mind synchronize naturally. Vitality rises without effort. Energy becomes available for action, not scattered in indulgence. Yet, even mindful nourishment can falter without reflection. Consumption without awareness, even if disciplined, becomes mechanical. Awareness must deepen into observation of the self, habit, and desire, because mastery of appetite is mastery of the mind, and control over the mind reveals power beyond the physical. 15. Emotional responsibility. Emotions are not enemies, they are information. Most people treat emotion as reaction, as justification, as authority. They blame circumstances, people, or events for inner states. They surrender sovereignty to stimuli. This is fragility. Emotional responsibility is the recognition that no external factor can dictate the internal state. Your feelings are yours to observe, understand, and regulate. Nothing outside has the power to destabilize you unless you give it permission. This habit is transformative. Every emotional surge becomes an opportunity to train awareness. Anger is observed, not expressed destructively. Fear is noted, not indulged. Joy is accepted fully, not clung to. Every emotion is integrated rather than denied or exaggerated. Attraction and mental strength converge here. Those who own their emotions move with grace, calm, and authority. Others unconsciously trust stability. They are drawn to presence that is unmoved by chaos, that is steady despite provocation. Emotional responsibility also teaches patience. Impulse softens. Decisions improve. Reaction becomes thoughtful response. Energy no longer dissipates in turbulence. Focus returns. The mind becomes unshakable. This discipline requires honesty. You must confront emotions without judgment. You must observe bias, attachment, and resistance. You must acknowledge weakness without surrender. In doing so, strength becomes permanent, not temporary. Over time, emotional responsibility deepens every previous habit. Breath control becomes more effective under pressure. Morning discipline is enriched with clarity of purpose. Posture, solitude, and minimal speech carry greater weight because internal turbulence no longer distorts them. When you cultivate this habit consistently, attraction is natural, presence is magnetic, authority is silent, confidence is unshakable. And yet, even emotional mastery is only fully realized through practice. Awareness alone is insufficient without repetition, reflection, and alignment. Because the final test of strength is not the world, but the mind itself, calm, disciplined, and entirely sovereign. 16. Patience in conflict. Conflict is inevitable. Life does not bend to desire or expectation. Most people respond to conflict impulsively, reacting with anger, fear, or defensiveness. Their minds scatter and their energy disperses. The world feels chaotic, and so does the self. Patience in conflict is not passivity. It is a profound presence that observes before acting. It is the discipline to pause, breathe, and assess. In the space between stimulus and response lies mastery. Every emotion is noted but not obeyed. Every urge to react is observed, tempered, and transformed into deliberate action. When the mind becomes patient, conflict loses its power. The one who moves slowly, with purpose and clarity, becomes unshakable. Others are drawn to this composure, recognizing strength without aggression. Patience trains observation. You begin to see patterns, to recognize triggers, to anticipate responses. Each moment of restraint builds resilience. Emotional energy, once scattered in reaction, is conserved for clarity and action. Attraction grows here. People respect the calm in chaos. Authority arises without words. Presence commands naturally. Those who act with impatience reveal vulnerability. Those who act with measured patience radiate power. Patience also cultivates wisdom. The impulsive act may satisfy ego in the moment, but measured response builds long-term influence. Every decision taken with calm judgment is a step toward mastery of self. This habit requires awareness of both internal and external forces. You must confront your own urges while observing the pressures of the situation. You must distinguish between action that serves integrity and action that serves reaction. Mastery here transforms relationships, negotiations, and personal challenges. Conflict becomes a teacher rather than a threat. You act not out of fear or pride, but out of insight and principle. And yet, patience is fragile without discipline. Without repeated practice, moments of tension reveal old habits, old reactions, old chaos. True patience emerges only through repetition, reflection, and endurance. Because the mind that moves with patience prepares naturally for the challenges that follow. 17. Respect without submission. Respect is a subtle force. Most confuse it with compliance or deference. They assume respect requires submission, bowing, or lowering themselves before others. This is a misunderstanding. True respect arises from recognition, not surrender. Respect without submission is a balance between humility and sovereignty. You acknowledge the presence, skills, or wisdom of another without yielding your authority. You recognize value without sacrificing identity. This is mastery. Attraction deepens through this practice. A person who respects yet does not submit carries magnetic authority. Others feel safe and inspired around them, recognizing alignment without dominance. They are drawn to the strength that neither demands nor coerces. This habit requires deep self-awareness. You must know your boundaries. You must understand your worth. You must discern when yielding is wisdom and when standing firm is necessity. Every interaction becomes a reflection of internal order. Respect without submission also teaches communication without compromise of integrity. You speak with clarity, listen without losing ground, and act with intention. Others respond not to coercion, but to authenticity. Influence is gained quietly, naturally, and permanently. This discipline strengthens every previous habit. Silence gains weight because it is paired with clear boundaries. Posture reinforces presence without intimidation. Minimal speech is intentional, supported by unwavering integrity. Emotional regulation remains intact. Over time, this habit transforms relationships and environments. Power is no longer granted by fear or persuasion. It emerges as a natural consequence of alignment and presence. Authority becomes invisible yet undeniable. Yet even respect without submission is vulnerable without observation. Misreading intent, ignoring subtle cues, or confusing compromise with weakness invites imbalance. Awareness must be maintained because true power is invisible until tested. And it is measured in the space between integrity and influence. 18. Daily reflection. Reflection is the unseen forge of mastery. Most live in constant motion, absorbed by action, distraction, and reaction. Few pause to examine their inner state, their choices, or the trajectory of their lives. This absence creates unconscious patterns, repeated mistakes, and wasted energy. Daily reflection is deliberate. It is the habit of observing thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment. It is the practice of asking, what did I learn today? Where did I falter? Where did I align with my intention? This is not self-criticism. It is honest calibration. Through reflection, the mind sharpens. Emotional turbulence is noticed before it grows. Reactions are corrected before they repeat. Choices become deliberate rather than habitual. Awareness deepens. Insight emerges from the quiet observation of self. Reflection also strengthens mental resilience. By reviewing moments of discomfort, conflict, and challenge, you train the mind to anticipate, adapt, and respond with clarity. Emotional responsibility is reinforced. Detachment from validation becomes easier. Consistency becomes natural. Attraction grows in those who reflect. People sense depth, they feel stability, they recognize intention paired with insight. Presence becomes magnetic because it is rooted in awareness rather than performance. This habit ties together all others: breath, posture, discipline, solitude, restraint, and emotional control are tested through reflection. Gaps are noticed, strength is integrated, wisdom is lived, not merely practiced. Daily reflection also builds patience. Growth is measured over time. not in dramatic moments. Each small adjustment compounds into profound transformation. The mind learns that mastery is a journey, not a destination. Yet reflection is useless without honesty. Skimming awareness or excusing behavior preserves illusion. True reflection requires courage, humility, and commitment, because the mind that observes itself transcends the influence of chaos, opinion, and distraction. And when all these practices, patience, respect, reflection, converge, you begin to move through life with presence that is silent yet undeniable, strength that is invisible yet felt, and attraction that is effortless yet magnetic. The journey of mastery is not seen in headlines, applause, or recognition. It is cultivated quietly, deliberately, consistently, one breath, one posture, one choice at a time. And this presence, once formed, becomes a force that cannot be ignored. The world will continue to move fast, chaos will arise, opinions will collide, challenges will press, and yet you will remain. You will remain because you have chosen presence over reaction, patience over impulse, and alignment over convenience. You will remain because you have trained the body, disciplined the mind, and observed the self. You will remain because silence, breath, posture, solitude, and reflection have become companions, not practices. Attraction is no longer something you seek. It flows naturally from your stillness. Strength is no longer something you display. It radiates quietly from the depths of your being. Authority does not need words. Power does not need validation. Every habit you have cultivated is a step toward one truth. The world cannot move you until you allow it to. Stand aligned, breathe deeply, move deliberately, speak with intention, live with awareness. And in doing so, you become a presence that cannot be ignored, a mind that cannot be shaken, a life that commands respect without demand. This is the way of strength. This is the way of presence. This is the way of mastery.